Hi kids, this is Mrs. Wolf. I wanted to share something that's kind of fun that's right in your backyard, and that is watching birds, because you never quite know who's going to show up and when. An easy way to identify some of the birds, one is just by the calls or the songs that they make. So the first the first bird that I'll show you here is a barred owl. And I actually had some in my tree not too long ago, but I'm going to have you listen to the call and then you'll listen to a cardinal. So we'll hear the difference between the two. So the first one is an owl, and listen to what you think he's saying, what it sounds like to you. Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you now? Did you hear that? Okay, now this is a cardinal. Okay, so that's just, oh, there's the owl again. Okay, so the other way to identify birds too, you can see it's by their size, the colors that they are, and some markings and their beak. And I'll show you a picture here of some birds in a minute that'll help you identify that. Okay, so now we're going to look at some ways to identify birds. And one is by their size. You can see how big the Canadian goose is. He's probably about a foot, maybe a couple feet high, tall. And then you got sparrows that are fairly small. So that's one way to identify birds, is just by the mere size of them. The other is their color, and you can see the cardinal. See how red he is? That's the male, and the female's right next to him. She's not quite as bright and colorful as the male. And then you got a blue jay, he's blue. And then you got the Canadian geese that are black and white, and the sparrows that are brown with a little bit of gray on top of his head. That's called his crown on top of his head. You can also look at their markings. So for instance, the cardinal has black all the way around his eyes and looks like he has a beard. And the blue jay has white, a black line through his eyes, and he's got the blue. And you can also tell by their beaks. Look at the difference between the cardinal's beak and the blue jay's is a little more pointed. Okay, so now we're going to look at some resources to help us identify those birds. And the first one I like is this book called Birds of Ohio. And what's really nice about it, it just shows you the birds that are in Ohio. So it doesn't give you like all thousands of birds around the world. It just tells you which ones you're probably going to find in your backyard. So I recommend this book. Okay, and here's some other resources. You can go to a website. Ohio has a Department of Natural Resources, and they will give you some identification guides of all the animals, including birds. So that's a nice site to go to, and it'll also give you the bird calls. And there's a site called Audubon, and it's a organization that looks to preserve all the bird species. And they also have a Audubon kids site as well. So you might want to look at both of those sites on your computer.